everybody, I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Zee Garcia.
I'm Chris Yi.
And I'm Wendy Yi.
And today we're taking a look at a game called Akropolis with a K. I need to say that because there's at least 2 games called Akropolis with a C in them.
Correct. Akropolis with a K was actually the original title. But then they just figured we can just put the K in the word, shorten it up.
So they spelled it
Bam.
with a C, but then said with a K?
Yeah, it was Akropolis spelled with a C with a K. That was the full title.
Aren't you glad you tuned in for this?
This
Yeah.
joke was not worth explaining twice.
No, okay, so it was.
It's a city building game. It's a tile laying game. That's pretty much it, but I'll show you a little
But
bit
you
more.
can stack them high.
Oh, yes.
Oh boy.
In this game, you're going to have 11 stacks of tiles. Each stack is going to be one more than the number of players in the game. And you'll start with a bunch of tiles out here. These tiles are kind of in a row here with the start all the way to the end. And players are going to get a little bit of rubble depending on what position you start in. Now, on your turn, each player is just going to take turns going around the table. When it's your turn, you can take one of these tiles. However, you can always take the first tile for free, but if you want, say, this tile here, you need to pay a stone for each tile that you skip over. When you take a tile, you're then going to add it to basically your little city that you're building. And this is the heart of the game. As you're adding these tiles to the different cities here, you just have to touch one spot here. I probably wouldn't build this like that, touching one edge, but you build them like that. You're building outwards. You may also build upwards as long as you have 3 spots to put it on, and it has to be on at least one tile. I can't do this, for example, place it on top of the whole tile, but this would be legit. In fact, that's a pretty good move, because whenever you cover up these quarries don't score you points at the end of the game, but when you cover them up, you get a stone for each one, giving you more freedom when picking the other tiles. Now, as you are building your thing out here, you're trying to score points. And points are scored through a combination of plazas, which have stars in them, and districts. So, for example, I have 2 blue plazas, and I have 4 city districts. And so I'm going to be multiplying the number of stars times the number of districts for points at the end of the game. But a district must be placed correctly. Now, when you place a district on the board, you can place it any way you want. The problem is it will not score for you unless it's meeting a certain qualification. So at the end of the game, for example, houses, the blue one, you will only score your biggest group of houses. And now if they're on the second level, they'll count as 2. So this is my biggest group right here, this single one. But maybe if I had this here, I now have 2, 3, 4 times 2, that's 8 points. Markets, they score as long as they are not next to another market. Barracks score if they're touching the outside of the city. So this one would count, this one would not. Temples must be completely surrounded. So this one counts, these 2 do not. So I would get 2 times 2, giving me 4 points. And gardens, that's the green tiles, they're going to give you points no matter where they are in the city. But there are fewer of them in the game. But hey, if I get this one here in the city, doesn't matter. 3 times that is worth 1. The game comes with a scoring card that tells you how each of these goes. And this is a variant, so this is an extra thing that you can do. There's the normal version and then the extra version. There's different ways that you can score if you want to mess with things. It also tells you how many of each tiles in the game by the number of players, because the back of the tile tells you, for example, this one you use in a 2-player game, and then there are tiles that you use only in a 4-player game. When the line of tiles has only 1 tile left, that's when you replenish. So then you'll pass a turn marker, someone else will get to go first, and you put out all the tiles here. And then you'll keep going. When all the piles are gone, all the tiles are gone, everyone's going to score points like I've already shown you, plus you get a point for each extra stone you have at the end of the game. Whoever has the most points is the winner. Now, Chris mentioned stacking the tiles high, and there's multiple games that do this.
Yes.
A lot of games, hey, build this, put tiles on top of it. Llama Land did this recently. Actually, many of Phil Walker Harding's games have the
done that a
stacking the
lot.
tiles on top of each other. This one's giving you not money, but in a sense a currency if you stack on top of certain tiles.
Cubes, baby.
Cubes.
Yeah, so you have tiles that don't do anything unless you stack on top of them.
Yeah.
And also
Yeah.
increases the point amounts you're going to get as the game goes by. With that being said, and I know that you already disagree because we talked about this earlier, I don't think the stacking is particularly interesting to me. Yes, you rotate it to put 3 of those empty ones next to each other, and so there's 2-level stacking. When you start going to 3-level stacking, you've already put stuff on the second level that you want it to be on the second level, so you're kind of covering, you can only cover up maybe 1 or 2 of them, and then a 4th level, meh. I feel like you're just as better spreading out and doing more double levels.
Well, I completely disagree.
I thought you would.
Yeah. No, I love the stacking. I think it is super fun. So it's all about that pre-planning of you've got those white tiles and they don't do anything for you unless you stack them on top of each other. So you want to make the largest areas you can with those white tiles. And then in a 2-player game, you can score basically every color, so you might not build up as much. But in a 3 or 4-player game, you know you're not going to be able to score a lot on very many colors. And so if you focus in on the colors that you want to score, then build on top of those other ones. If I'm not investing in yellow because I don't have any yellow multipliers, I'm going to build on top of that so that I can make that higher so that the greens or the blues that I am invested in can be ×3, ×4. It can be huge.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think I enjoy the stacking in it for sure. I think you have to plan, and that's one of the main ways, probably the only way in which you get to plan in this game, is where you stack things, what areas are there merely to be stacked upon. Because the tile flip you can't plan for. You can hope, like, hey, I'm going for green. I sure hope some green multipliers show up. It did. It got taken too. Okay, let's keep building. Let's keep stacking. So yes, I think that's the main point in which you have some control over how this whole thing develops.
I guess the question, is it that interesting to try to keep stacking higher, and it ultimately comes down to, in a 2-player game, which I played this mostly at, I think, I would probably rather kind of spread wide, because you're going to get score multipliers of all the different colors. I think that's maybe the difference with the player count. I find it odd that there's a tile flop when the lineup of tiles reduces to 1, and then you pass the first player token, which functionally does nothing. I was very confused about that. And then you kind of reveal a market again. I thought it odd that it wasn't just a continuous, card river or tile river like most games. That would lead a little bit more to kind of planning a bit, I suppose.
But see, that's the thing. So Zee talked about that. That is like I said, I don't really care about the stacking, but I don't dislike it. The one thing I do dislike is it's hard to pre-plan in this game. I might sit there and go, I'm going to build yellow. Great. Yellow doesn't show up for a while. Then yellow shows up 4 tiles in the same grouping. I'm only getting 1 of those.
Yeah.
And sometimes it forces me to do the whole kill Dr. Lucky syndrome where I'm like, or it's not even that, just hate drafting. I'm forced to take a tile I don't want because otherwise Chris gets 25 points if he takes it. And that's not interesting to me. It's also not fun for Chris because he knows I'm going to take it. And that's where this game falls apart for a little for me. The scoring and the idea is interesting and the different tiles, and you need to math the game out. You need to know how many of each color are in there. I think the reference cards tell you.
Yeah, per player count. They did a good job with the reference cards, and on the back it tells you what the scoring is and the specialty scoring.
But that really matters to know there's not as many of this color, or I see 4 of these are out and there's only 6 in the stacks. That really matters, I think.
I mean, until they get covered up and you forget. At that point, it's a memory game.
Sure.
I just don't worry about that. Yeah, I don't worry about that at all.
I think it's too short of a game to stress over that. Like, I think this is just that ultimate thinky filler of there's a lot of really cool crunchy stuff going on, but you got to go with the flow. Like, this is one of those.
You can't have both. It can't be crunchy filler and go with the flow.
It can be.
But then it's not. But then it's crunchy. If you're going with the flow, then it might be easier for you to figure that out. But for me, I want to know where the tiles are because I want to know if I'm drafting a yellow tile, if it's worth my while to do so because, oh wait, all the multipliers are out. Why am I even doing this? I need to know that information.
Gotta
Because I
crunch
just
with the
covered
flow.
up.
Crunch with the Flu. No, when I play this, it's very just kind of easygoing experience. I have fun when I play this. I know I've kind of dunked on it a lot so far. I have fun. It's pleasant building a broad, building up. Yeah, I'll take that one. I'll see if it works. I don't play it too mathematically. I also get smashed at this game because of it. And so I think that this is one that if you want to do well in it, you could math it out. But I have lost this game by over 100 points because of the way that the score multipliers work. So it's a little disheartening at the end, but the whole time I'm playing it, I'm having fun. But I don't know, it doesn't exactly sing for me, I guess.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's not a whole lot to say about this game. I agree in that regard. My rating for this game is a 6. It sounds like it's worse than that. I don't mind the game. It's an interesting experience. I just don't I feel like this game gives you pseudo strategy. Like, ooh, I can put stuff around the outside. I can do this color, but then, oh, you just took that tile. And then my plans didn't work out. Okay, I can go with that flow, but I can't recommend a game like that. Because, again, this kind of game where you put out tiles and stack them, there's a lot of them out there.
Yes.
And this one is fine. It doesn't look prettier than the rest. It looks fine. It doesn't have a strong theme. The scoring is like many other games of this type. So the only thing that really differentiates this one is, well, nothing, actually. It's just a hodgepodge of other stuff.
And that's the problem, I think, is that it seems at odds with itself, very mathy. You look at this and you go, yes, this is going to be so crunchy. Oh, wait, I only get to see this many tiles, and you have to take them before we replenish, like you said. And, oh, I can't do really what I thought I was going to be able to do. Those two things seem at odd. Besides that, and that's okay, some games are going to be slightly at odds, and you're like, but it's fun. It also is just very derivative. I mean, and not derivative, that sounds intentional. It's samey. There's a lot of games like this. My biggest issue is actually to score everything, it takes 2 kinds of tiles. I almost wish they would have just had the buildings. You also then need to be waiting for the stars to show up. And there are so few of those that any plan you had goes out the window when one shows up. You take it. If one of those shows up, just take it. Because it's absolutely incredibly powerful. You can't score without them. I wish that tile type just didn't even exist, But yes, it's fun.
Or that it was combined.
Or that something, like the square of them or something. I don't know. I just don't like that there's just a multiplier for every color that you also need to score. But yes, it's fine. It's pleasant. I'm also giving it a 6. There's other games of this of the style and type I enjoy more. I would not say no to playing this.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
you bring this out, I'm like, oh yeah, sure. Let's jam a game of this. It's going to take 30 minutes. I'll think about what I want to take, and it's not going to work out anyway, but it doesn't matter because I can't see this math anyway. It's so obtuse. I'm like, it's fine. I'll figure out where I land when all is said and done. I think it could have been a lot better. I guess that's my ultimate issue with it.
It's a very angry sounding 6.
Yeah, I guess I think it's because it's on the cusp of being great.
Sure.
If I was really disheartened by it, I'd be like, this is crap, it's a 3, you know what I mean, or a 4, and I'm uninterested. It's a 6, where I can see the potential for an 8, for me personally, of course. And so that gets me fired up, a game that's almost there for me.
I am coming in at a 6 as well, for a lot of the same reasons.
Really?
I think it's really fun. I have a pleasant time playing it, and then at the end, the score is just kind of all over the place because if you don't grab those star multiplier tokens, you are not playing the game. And so it becomes brainless at that point. There's a score multiplier. Get it. Does it cost 3 rubble cubes? Doesn't matter. And so I think that's my biggest disappointment. I like it. It almost has a King Domino-ish kind of feel to it, but that game, the math just works out smoother and better. And so I have fun. I can't really recommend it, but I wouldn't turn down playing a game of it because it's breezy and fun, and I'm going to play it breezy and fun and then lose by 100 points.
Well, I'm going to give this an 8.5 because I really, really enjoy what's going on here. Like
Wow.
No, I do, Tom. I really do. Like I've played this 3-4 times, and it's just been so much fun for me. Like the stacking, those decisions. I think that yes, you always get the star tiles if you can get them, the multiplier if you can get them. But from there, that's where you have to start changing things up. That's when you start making those decisions. And am I going to cover up buildings? Am I going to do something? What am I going to do with this once I get it? I just think that's really cool. Am I going to expand out? Am I going to build up? Am I going to leave gaps that I'm going to hope to fill in later? You know, if you're trying to get all your blues together, am I going to leave a gap because I think I'm going to be able to set a blue on top? I just need to, you know, I'm setting myself up for future stuff that I can do because I just need a single blue on a tile. I don't know. I think there's some really cool stuff in there. I also, these tiles, there's like extra scoring on the back and stuff. Like if you come out with an expansion where I can get another one of these and everything scores differently, like that's my jam. I really like it.
There's expandability built in. I don't think the advanced scoring is that even per se. Like getting a huge thing of blues and then doubling every blue is enormously different than
that is huge.
Double the value of your reds if they're like way in the middle of nowhere. I don't know, but maybe some different scoring would be fun.
I don't know. I thought it was tons of fun.
Well, there you go, folks. That's Akropolis. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Zee Garcia.
I'm Chris Yi.
I'm Wendy Yi.
Build your city on tiles.